by Angeline. Angeline, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. My name is Angeline Constantinou, and I am the founder of Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. So I'm also a podcast host, women's empowerment coach, and also a global speaker. So I empower women to break their silence, amplify their voices, give them a platform to share their real life stories of how they overcame domestic violence and how they stepped into their purpose. So
Yeah.
that is what I am all about. So giving women a platform to amplify their voice, use their voices, because your power is in your voice.
Definitely. So you've got quite a personal story about how you came into that. Would you like to share
Yes,
into that?
absolutely. I have quite a personal story. So once upon a time, I used to be married to whom I thought was going to be the love of my life. He earned six-figure income in New York City. He had an advertising direct mail business. So I worked in his business, and we got married at the Justice of the Peace in May of 1989. But he wore the mask. So basically, like when we met, you wouldn't think that anything was, you didn't see any like signs of abuse or anything like
Yeah.
that, just like very charming, and I made a decision. I mean, it was a decision that I made because I thought that there was a lot there between us, a lot of chemistry and love between us. But not only that, I worked in this business and brought in six-figure income. um, but then about, like shortly after that, he started to exhibit jealousy, resentment. Because later on, what happened was I went out to work. I made a decision um, I think it was around 2006, 2007, that I was going to make a name for myself and work in corporate America. And the reason was because I was struggling to reclaim my identity. Everything was all about him.
Yeah.
Everything was all about him. Narcissistic abuse, there was gaslighting. He didn't support me in my new career. There was physical abuse. I was thrown against the wall and I was bleeding literally. And I had a broken nose and I was taken to the hospital. And 2 days later, I had reconstructive nose surgery. But then, during that time, like I was ashamed to share my story. I was ashamed to come out because oftentimes there are women who out there who feel trapped and who feel silenced. They feel that like the authorities are not going to cooperate with them. They're going to say it's your fault. There's a lot of lies,
Yeah.
misconceptions out there, but there are resources out there. So the last 3 years of my marriage, I worked on myself.
Mm-hmm.
I worked on myself, personal development, and then things just got worse because I thought that being apart was going to solve the problem. It didn't solve the problem. And I made a decision that I had to leave, that I wanted to leave. You know how it is like when you wake up with an epiphany and you're
Yeah.
saying, that's it, I'm drawing a line in the sand. That was me.
Yeah.
That was me.
So in the beginning, you didn't see any abuse. How long was it before you started to realize?
That's a good question. I started to realize it probably, I would say, after a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
2 to 3 years, but I thought that it was my fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I thought it
But
was my fault, but
you were
then,
married quite a long time, though.
yes, 23 years.
Yeah, that's a hell of a long
Because
time.
we've been conditioned to believe, like I was brought up in the Greek Orthodox faith, and while it is strict, they say this is a lie, okay, that has been told to us. You marry for better, for worse, for richer or poorer, until death do us part. But there was no reason for me to suffer, and I realized that.
Yeah.
So even the priest at that time, this is when I lived in upstate New York, he supported me. He said, "You're 100% right." He said, "You're 100% right." But I told the priest that I was going to file for a divorce. And I remember writing that check for $5,000. It was a relief, even though that was like basically the last 5,000 in my savings account. It was just like, I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to reclaim my life back and build myself back up again. And that was a huge turning point for me. And I found out that he had written balance transfer checks against our credit to buy mutual funds. So I found myself $50,000 in the hole. Because unfortunately, we had some accounts in both names, and, I had to make a plan.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I always say to women is, if you're in this situation, is to have a backup plan, have a plan in place, and have at least 6 months of savings put aside.
Yeah.
So you can, especially there are women out there who have children, some are married, or some have children, single moms. It's important to have those resources available to you. And there are resources available to you, but it doesn't mean that you're broken. It doesn't mean that you're broken. You're just, you're rebuilding your life back. And I've always been, a believer. I'm a believer in God. I'm a follower of Jesus. I got rebaptized this year in May. And I always believe is to lean into God, lean into faith. Even though you may think that he's not working things out for you, he is working things out for you. Whether you believe in God or the universe or whatever you believe in, God is orchestrating a plan for you. He is actually orchestrating a brand new plan for you, which you may not realize, but when it actually happens, like a year later, when my divorce became final, I felt liberated.
Yeah. So it sounds like not only were you going through emotional and physical abuse, you were also in a situation where you were financially abused as well.
Oh yeah, financial abuse, and that's real. That hit hard with me. That really, really hit hard with me because I wanted to move out and get my own place, and I wasn't able to. So,
And you thought you had a lot of money coming in?
yeah, I had money. I had actually unemployment coming in because I was let go from my last employment because my ex-partner just basically, tried to put screws to it, claiming that he was sick and all this stuff. And, I wasn't able to go on a business trip that I was really, really looking forward to. And then they let me go because they knew that there were a lot of problems, I think. And there was no support at that time from that former employer for domestic violence survivors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was there a point where you reached and you just thought, no, that's it, I can't take this anymore?
Yes, that was me. Couldn't take it anymore.
What was the thing that happened? Was it a big thing or a little thing? Was it the straw that broke the camel's back, or
Yeah.
was it something
The straw
big?
that broke the camel's back basically was just like, he he was treating me like a POS, okay? And he treated me as a possession. So I recognized the fact that what was I going to say? I recognized the fact that it was toxic. I was in a toxic relationship.
And so then did you have to prepare to leave?
I did. So I made a plan. I was very passionate about moving up north to Saratoga Springs, New York. So I made several trips to Saratoga and I grew to like it because I remember I had traveled there, 10 years back. This was when we were married. But I was sitting in one of the historic hotels in Rhinebeck, New York called the Beekman Arms. So I was going through a magazine and I saw Saratoga and all of a sudden I started to feel like I was lit up. I'm like, I have to go there. So, so in fact, when I filed my divorce papers, I didn't stay in the house. I made a plan to travel up north. And I stayed with a friend and I stayed for the weekend. And to me, it was great. It was great. Then I realized I wanted to move up there. So I put a plan in place, but I worked very closely with the New York State Police and the Dutchess County Sheriff's Office at the time, so he wouldn't know where I was going, because that was really important, because oftentimes, it's not during the abuse. After you leave, that's when danger happens. So I had a protective order against him, and for a little over a year. In fact, when I had moved to Saratoga Springs, this was 17 years ago, I had a protective order in place, and it was in effect for the next 2 months. So, but fortunately, he did not come up. So fortunately, once I left, I left. I never looked back. After I gave him the keys, I had very little furniture, but I made it work. I found a small 1-bedroom apartment, and I made it work. You just make it work.
Yeah.
And I went to the public library, got resources, and I had a caseworker who worked with me actually for 1 year. So to help me through the process, I did go for counseling, I went for therapy, and the lady was like, she would be a great coach. I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if she's a women's empowerment coach right now, but like she actually went through domestic violence, and she was telling me, like, go out, start to take care of yourself. Don't worry about what he's doing. That was the big thing, because that was like a big thing with me. Like, what is he doing right now? But she said, don't worry about it. Don't be concerned about him. You start to love yourself again.
Yeah.
So, because when you start to love yourself again, you start to, love on other people, and the universe rewards action. So that was huge for me. I think that for me, that was huge. I became involved in the online space in direct sales, direct marketing with a health and wellness company at that time. That changed my life, and I'm very grateful for them because they helped me through a really, really tough time in my life. Because I know that transition can be tough. It can be. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. You just have to believe in yourself and have faith. And, the healing process is, I talked about this yesterday, as far as the healing process goes. It takes a village. I mean, yes, I was by myself at times, which I didn't mind, but when you have a community of people who are behind you, that is everything.
Yeah. So what points did you find really difficult, and which points did you find easier than you thought throughout that process?
The part that I found difficult was moving out. But I worked through it.
What was hard about it?
Yeah, so like moving out, I don't like moving.
Right.
It's just in my brain, but
Was it the logistics of it?
it was the logistics of it, putting everything together. But I did it. I moved to Florida last year. So, but that was like the difficult part. I had some limiting beliefs that were holding me back because I knew that God put me to a higher calling. So I went live on Facebook and shared my story in March of 2018. And when I did that, it was 7 million views, which was totally amazing. So after that, then I started my podcast.
Okay.
I decided to start my podcast, I think it was in 2019. I started to build a Facebook group. In fact, it's the 7th year anniversary of my Facebook group, which is Domestic Violence for Healing and Empowerment. So I provide a lot of resources and tools for women to access. I go live in the group. Now that, my podcast is 6 years old, it's 6 years young, I call it. I knew that God called me to do that, to empower women. Not only that, but build a community of sisterhood to create that ripple effect. Because there's a ripple effect when you share your stories. And now, yesterday, for example, I have a moderator, who went through domestic violence, okay? And some other women together. One of them was from the UK. So we are making a plan to do what's called a women's talk. So you see what can happen?
Yeah.
And, for some of these women, it takes courage to go live.
Yeah.
And share, I'm sorry for the coughing, and share your real life stories.
Yeah.
It takes a village. So they say that, when you rise to the top, expect loneliness. Yes, you may expect loneliness, but like sometimes you'll start to lose people, but then you'll start to gain the right people. You start to attract the right people in your life. So I'm super excited because we're going to make a plan to go live in her Facebook group because she started her own, and she's going to share her story. But it took time. It took over a year for that to happen. And I've had women, one of my clients actually, she lives in Australia, and she went through domestic violence, and this is in a different country. So obviously, like there's different rules and stuff, but she came to me because I had done a workshop, and she decided to work with me for 9 weeks. And she rediscovered her true passion. She was able to remove the limiting beliefs. It's the limiting beliefs that hold us back from reaching our greatest potential, because we've been conditioned to believe that we
Definitely in an abusive relationship.
And I see more and more women talking and sharing their stories. They're coming forward now. And I had a guest a few weeks ago. I think it took her like 8 years, but she did it.
Yeah.
She said, I'm going to do it, because she felt empowered.
There's something about finding your voice for the first time.
Yes, it is.
In public as well.
Finding your voice. So I help women find their voice. That is still a huge passion of mine, because we don't deserve to suffer in silence anymore.
Definitely not. So what part of the whole process did you find easy that you didn't expect to? Was there anything?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think what found easier for me, number one, is building a movement of women. And I think nothing is easy in life, but being able to reach the masses. Like when I shared my story in March of 2018, I used to be the biggest chicken of Facebook Lives, and here I had the camera, I just held it up like this in my 1-bedroom apartment, my new one that I had moved into, and I went live for 18 minutes. And the camera was shaking, I was shaking, the whole thing, but you know what? I didn't let it stop me.
No.
I didn't let it stop me. So I think that was a huge turning point. A lot of breakthroughs happened for me. And removing the blocks. Through mentorship, I was able to remove the blocks. So once I removed the blocks, then I had a lot more clarity, and I found my passion.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like quite a journey that you've been on.
Yes, quite a journey I've been on. Yes, definitely. It's been quite a journey. There's going to be ups and downs in your journey.
Yeah.
So you're going to wake up one morning and you're not going to feel like doing anything. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
But even if you accomplish one thing, is to get up, have coffee, because I focus a lot on gratitude, when I wake up in the morning, I wash my face and do my thing, and then I rehydrate with electrolytes, and I just sit on my couch, which is behind me over there, and I created a ritual space for me. So I do my 10-minute morning meditation. I close my eyes and I just focus on being in the present, focus on the breath work, and focus on being in the present moment. Then I journal. I have many journals. Gratitude is very, very important, because when you focus on gratitude, abundance starts to open up in your life.
Yeah.
And then I do prayer, meditation, then I have my cup of coffee while I'm doing all this, and then I will shower, dress, and then go out for a little walk, and then go about my day. So
yeah. What advice have you got for someone who's stuck at the moment? Like, say, a woman who's in a relationship that's abusive and she just doesn't know what to do first.
She doesn't. Okay, that's a good question. So I learned to find calmness in the chaos. So if you are in a situation right now where you feel stuck, it's time to take action. It is time to make a plan, because staying stuck is not going to help you. I mean, especially if the situation is really bad. For example, I helped a woman one time, and this was during COVID. She was looking for housing. And in New York City, when COVID happened, everything was shut down. But you know what? We got on the phone, I got on the laptop, and I did the research for her. I said, you could call this number and seek housing. And within 48 hours, she was out.
Yeah.
She was out. So there are resources, but don't stay there. That's my advice. Don't stay there. Take massive action, especially if it's, depending on the situation. If it's a really bad situation, get out as fast as you can and file a protective order and do all the things that I did
Yeah.
and start to focus on yourself and rebuilding your life. That is my message.
Yeah. So do you meet women who have been in that situation before, and then because that's what they're comfortable, that it's
Yeah,
kind of like a
I
pattern, and they
have.
go back into that awful situation again in a new relationship?
Yeah, okay, so that's a good question. Oftentimes, women feel, this is another lie that they tell themselves, that I don't feel complete now. Because there's a trauma there. It's a form of trauma bonding, meaning they haven't gone through the healing process, number one, to love themselves again, like I did. See, I loved myself first. I wasn't even focused on a new relationship. And Lord knows, I mean, I did date, but I ended that one. That was like, especially the world we live in today, So for women, focus on yourself. Focus on yourself. You can take a walk in the park. There's a lot of things that you can do that don't cost anything. Maybe, and if you do have some money like I did, treat yourself to a spa day.
Yeah.
Take a yoga class, and you're going to start to feel better about yourself. Take a makeover class or do something. Do something that makes you happy, because the happiness comes from within. And no one is going to be there to save you.
No.
You can only save yourself.
Absolutely. That's the
Yeah.
thing. You can't change anybody else, can you? You can only
Right.
do what's best for you.
Exactly. You can only do what's best for you. No one's going to change you. Maybe some family members are not going to support you in your healing journey, and that's okay. Let them. If they don't, that's okay. That's okay. But focus on yourself, because you are worthy.
Yeah.
You are worthy. You are worthy.
So what do you think's the biggest lesson that you've learned?
Biggest lesson that I've learned, that I can stand up on my own 2 feet.
Yeah.
That's the biggest lesson that I've learned. The biggest lessons that I've learned is that I'm single, I'm independent. I've been independent for 17 years, and I love being independent. So that is one of the most empowering things. And that was the one thing that I've been able to accomplish, and not have to rely on getting a partner, okay? Because sometimes you can get into a relationship for the wrong reason, for just money.
Yeah.
So, being able to stand up for yourself, being bold, and even being a little audacious, that comes later. But be bold, share your story, because sharing your story on social media or whatever platform that you use, it's going to change lives. You won't realize the ripple effect that your story the impact that it'll have.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about your podcast.
Yes, so my podcast is Let's Break the Silence with Angeline. So my podcast focuses on empowering women to share their real life stories. You have a voice.
Yeah.
Your story must be told. Your story must be shared on my platform, because we are here to break the silence and the stigma on domestic violence, trauma, and that's what my podcast is all about. I also provide tools and resources for women to tap into. They can join my Facebook group, and I'm actually doing a workshop next month called Awaken Your Identity. So we're going to focus on the 3 pillars of transformation that changed my life, and there's going to be, it's a 2-day event. It's free. You don't pay for it. It's free. And there's going to be self-awareness exercises, and we're going to talk about lies versus truth.
Yeah.
We're going to uncover those lies. We're going to peel back the layers.
So is that online?
Yes, it's going to be on Zoom. So I will send you, I will put the link in the chat.
Okay.
So it's November 11th and 12th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time.
Okay.
Okay? So, any woman who is feeling stuck, or they really don't know how to reclaim their power or identity back, this is for you. This is for you. You know, if
Yeah,
you're a
that
woman
sounds
who's
really good.
struggling, yeah, if you're struggling and you're looking to find your voice, reclaim your confidence and reclaim your power, and, you know, and everything else, then it's time to, yeah, to to peel back the layers and reclaim your identity.
Yeah.
Who are you? Because I know, like for me, like after my divorce, I did like personal development and everything. But who are you? Like a lot of times after divorce, women still feel ashamed, or they're crying because they are still attached. There's the emotional attachment, and there's something inside of them that's causing them to feel that way. So why be miserable? Why be miserable?
Yeah.
Reclaiming your identity is huge. That's a huge part for me. That is
Yeah, I
huge.
suppose it's a grieving process, and that sometimes takes time, doesn't it?
It does. Grieving takes time. Yes, trust me, it does. It does. No doubt about it. During my divorce, I was grieving. My lawyer called it a toxic grief.
Toxic grief.
Yeah, toxic grieving. I'm like, yes, I know, but this is 23 years of marriage, and I put in a lot of work
Yeah.
because we think that they're going to change, but they're not going to change.
I think people think that grief's about losing things that you value and that you had a good experience of, but it's not always like that. Sometimes you grieve for things that were, well, because you've lost something that you had hoped would be better.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you're grieving for what you dreamed that something was, but it turned out not to be, and the end of
Right. It
that.
didn't turn out that way because it just didn't turn out that way,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But God has a bigger plan.
Yeah.
He has the bigger plan for us.
Yeah. So you've got a lot of women in your life now then that
Oh yeah,
support you.
many women in my life now. There's not a day that goes by that I get a message every single day. Like someone told me the other day that you've changed my life so much, and I was just like, and thank you for being the light, in darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get many, many messages, and I feel so great. I feel so happy and grateful for
Yeah.
that because I know that I am making an impact.
Yeah, and it must feel quite satisfying to have that
Satisfying, right,
feedback.
right. Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. You get a lot of satisfaction out of the work that you do.
Yes. Oh, much satisfaction because I used to work in corporate America, but corporate America was not, and I did well in corporate America, but I left my last corporate job last year because it wasn't in alignment with my true purpose.
Yeah.
I knew it wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I found my true purpose. So yes. So we are born with spiritual gifts.
Definitely it's about tapping into those, isn't it?
Yeah, tapping in, tapping in. What are your spiritual gifts? I'm going to be
Yeah.
talking about that in my workshop as well. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about that. What is your spiritual gift? You probably don't are not aware of it, but I would bet at the end of the workshop you probably will be.
Yeah. It
Like, oh
sounds
my
really
God,
good.
and if not, that's okay. So when
Yeah.
people sign up for the event, there is a short call that they book with me because I want to get to know them get to know
Yeah.
them and find out what their goals and passions are. And then it'll be on Zoom.
Yeah.
So it'll be a Zoom event.
Yeah, it sounds really good. Well,
Thank
Angeline,
you.
thank you so much for joining me on my podcast today. It's been lovely having you and having a chat with you.
And it's been lovely chatting with you. I love your podcast. I cannot wait until it's released. So thank you so much for the lovely conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to take a moment to speak directly to the women listening who might be struggling in silence. So maybe you're living with the fallout of a husband or partner who's suddenly decided he's a woman, leaving you feeling confused, coerced, or even pressured into things you never consented to. Maybe you're a mother with a daughter or a son who now says they're trans, and you're carrying the heartbreak of that loss without anyone around you really understanding. Or maybe you've been cancelled, silenced, or bullied in your workplace, in your family, or even online, and you're left questioning your reality, your confidence, and your sense of self. If any of that sounds familiar, I just want you to know that you're not alone, and you don't have to keep pushing through it on your own strength, because that's exactly why I offer counselling for women. It's a private, safe, and non-judgmental space where you can say the unsayable. And I know how hard it can be to put words to feelings of betrayal, grief, or anger, especially when the world around you just wants you to be quiet. In our sessions, you'll be heard, believed, and supported without judgment. My work is grounded in person-centred counselling, but I also bring in other tools like inner child work, trauma-informed approaches, and relational models to help you uncover what's really going on beneath the surface. Together we'll explore how the past is shaping the present, untangle the dynamics of coercive or narcissistic relationships, and give you space to grieve losses that others might dismiss or deny. The women that I work with often tell me that our sessions give them clarity, strength, and the ability to start making decisions that honour their own needs, sometimes for the first time in years. And so whether you're trying to rebuild after coercion, come to terms with ambiguous loss, or simply reconnect with who you are, therapy can be the place where you start to feel like yourself again. And I offer a free, no obligation consultation so that you can see if working together feels like the right fit. There's no pressure, just a chance to talk about what you need and how I might be able to help. You can find out more at kellyoliverdougal.co.uk. You deserve a space where you are truly heard, and if this speaks to you, I'd be honoured to walk alongside you on your journey of healing and strength.